Some time ago, after more than 20 years as a professional accountant serving primarily small businesses, it became clear neither I nor most Canadians really understood the importance of small business to our economy. The problem begins with our own statistical agencies. Statistics Canada has an apparent bias that favours larger organisations, or rather they downplay the importance of the self-employed, and they refer rather disparagingly to micro-businesses with 4 or fewer staff. They seem to place more importance on what they define as large and medium-sized organisations with 100 or more employees. By contrast, BC Stats, which shares the same data with Statistics Canada, defines a large business in BC differently, as one which has 50 or more staff. They don't even bother with a medium-sized business category. By default, Statistics Canada doesn't include the self-employed in employment numbers, but they combine both the public sector and the private sector together. That was when I began to realise the importance of statistics and how significant it is to know where to look for good, relatively unbiased data. In all of the social sciences, including the management sciences and public administration, good data is critical. The Main Street Journal is the result of realising the importance of smaller businesses to the Canadian economy. Statistics Canada does produce reliable data, but sometimes the way it is presented makes it hard to interpret effectively. As a senior manager and tax specialist working at one of Canada's Big Four audit firms, I needed to understand the market for tax services for companies conducting experimental development. Small companies often qualified for lucrative R&D tax incentives, particularly if they were small Canadian-controlled private companies with taxable incomes below $500,000 per year. Larger, more profitable companies also qualified for tax incentives, but the competition for their tax business was quite fierce, since the other Big Four firms pursued them intensely. Smaller technology companies, called tech startups, were an easier sell since they were way more numerous and liked our Big Four brand. This became even more important when I went out on my own in 2012. In the consulting business, working alone is sometimes described as eat what you kill. As it turned out, it wasn't that hard to find work on my own. It was much harder to find staff. But that's another story. When we analyse the data, it's clear that the majority of Canadians work in the private sector for small companies with fewer than 50 employees. But when it comes to how the economy works, despite their demographic importance, it's equally clear that the majority of Canadians have little or no voice when it comes to shaping the important policies that affect them. The Main Street Journal tries to understand who the real influencers are, so we can hold them to account.